They say the more you water your plants, the healthier they grow. That if you truly care, you should never let the soil go dry. More water, more attention, more effort. That's what a good gardener does, isn't it? But is it? Because for Margaret Ellis, that simple belief didn't help her garden grow. It slowly, quietly, began to destroy it. At first, nothing seemed wrong. Just a few leaves, losing their color, a slight droop, here and there, easy to ignore, easy to explain away. Maybe it's the weather. Maybe it just needs a little more water. So she gave more, a little extra in the morning, another pour in the evening, because how could water, the very thing plants need to live, be the problem? And yet, day by day, leaf by leaf, everything started turning yellow. And Margaret didn't even realize what was happening until her garden no longer looked like her garden at all. Margaret is 76. She lives alone, in a small white house with blue shutters, the kind of house people used to slow down to admire. Because of the garden, it wasn't perfect, but it was full of life. Roses that climbed just high enough to catch the morning sun, tomatoes that ripened quietly in the corner, herbs by the window, close enough to touch. It gave her something steady, something to care for. And every morning, she followed the same routine, kettle on, cup of tea in hand, and then, the watering can. No rush, no noise, just her, and the garden. She watered everything, every single day, her tomatoes, her roses, even the small pots by the window, because that's what she had always been told, keep the soil moist. So she did, faithfully, without missing a day. But slowly, something began to change. The leaves didn't look as strong. The green started to fade. At first, it was subtle, almost unnoticeable. Then the drooping began. Not dramatic, just enough to make you pause and wonder. She leaned closer one morning and noticed the soil. It didn't smell fresh anymore. There was a heaviness to it, a dampness that didn't feel right. Still, she kept watering, because if something is struggling, you help it more, don't you? But no matter how much water she gave, nothing improved. In fact, everything got worse. One quiet afternoon, as the sun rested gently over the fence, her neighbor, Mr. Collins, 81, leaned slightly on the wood between them and watched her. He had been watching for days, really. Not in a judging way, just the way people do when they've seen something before. Margaret lifted her watering can again, tilted it carefully, making sure every corner of the soil was soaked. That's when he spoke, softly, almost casually. You're loving them too much. Margaret paused. For a second, she thought she misheard him. Then she let out a small laugh. The kind that comes when something doesn't quite make sense. How can water be too much? She said. It's what keeps them alive. Mr. Collins didn't argue. He didn't correct her. He just smiled. A slow, knowing smile. The kind that comes from years, not books. Before all this, he said gently, we didn't water like that. Margaret frowned slightly. Not defensive, just curious. What do you mean? He nodded toward her garden. Back then, we didn't rush to fix every little thing. There was a pause. A breeze passed between them, lifting a few tired leaves. We let the plants be. Margaret looked down at her tomatoes, at the drooping stems, the yellowing edges. Mr. Collins continued. They weren't treated like fragile things. His voice was calm, steady, like someone remembering something that still mattered. They had to reach for what they needed. He pointed gently toward the soil. When you water too often, they stop searching. Margaret didn't respond this time. Something about the way he said it settled differently. They grow shallow, he added, dependent. Another pause. And shallow roots don't last. Margaret's grip on the watering can loosen slightly. For the first time, she wasn't thinking about what to do next. She was thinking about what she had already done. All the mornings, all the extra care, all the times she thought she was helping. Mr. Collins straightened a little. You see, he said, a little struggle isn't the enemy. He glanced at her garden one more time. Sometimes, it's what teaches them to grow deeper. Margaret looked out across her yard again. But this time, she wasn't just seeing what was wrong. She was beginning to understand why. Here's what Margaret didn't know, and it's something many people never realize. Even after years of gardening, most plants don't need constant watering. In fact, giving them water every single day can quietly do more harm than good. Because when soil stays too wet, something important disappears. Air. It's easy to forget. But roots don't just drink water. They breathe. Beneath the surface, healthy soil is full of tiny spaces. Little pockets where air moves freely. That's what keeps roots alive. Strong. Active. But when the soil is always soaked, those spaces fill up with water. There's no room left to breathe. And without air, roots begin to struggle. At first, it's subtle. They absorb less. They weaken slowly. Then over time, they start to break down. Not suddenly, but quietly, softening, darkening, failing to do the one job they were made to do. And above the soil, the plant tells the story. Leaves turn yellow. Growth slows. Everything begins to look tired. No matter how much care you give, it has a name. Overwatering. One of the most common reasons plants don't survive. Especially in pots, where water has nowhere to escape. And the difficult part is this. It doesn't look like overcare. It looks like neglect. So people respond the only way they know how. They water more. But here's the truth. The part gardeners used to understand without needing to be told. Plants grow stronger when they're not given everything too easily. When you water less often, but do it deeply, something changes. The water doesn't just sit on the surface. It moves down, and the roots follow. They begin to stretch, to reach, to search for what they need. And in that process, they grow deeper, stronger, more resilient, able to withstand heat, dry days, and time itself. That's how gardens used to thrive. Not with constant attention, not with daily watering, but with rhythm, with space between care, with the quiet understanding that sometimes what looks like less is actually exactly what's needed. So Margaret didn't change everything. She didn't buy new tools. She didn't replace her plants. She simply changed a few small habits, the kind that don't feel like much at first, but make all the difference over time. The first thing she did, she stopped watering every day. That was the hardest part, because for years, watering had been her way of showing care, her daily ritual, her quiet connection to the garden. But this time, she chose patience over routine. Instead of reaching straight for the watering can, she paused, bent down slowly, and touched the soil with her fingers. Not rushed, not guessing, just feeling. If the top inch felt dry, then yes, she watered. But if it was still damp, even slightly, she left it alone. No just in case. No extra pour. She waited. And in that waiting, something began to change. Not just in the soil, but in the way she paid attention. The next thing she did, she watered deeply. Not quick splashes on the surface. Not light sprinkles that disappear in minutes. But slow, steady watering. Letting it soak in. Letting it travel down to where the roots actually live. Because surface water dries quickly, but deep water stays and teaches the roots where to go. And most importantly, Margaret gave her plants something she had never thought about before. Space. Time to breathe. Time for the soil to loosen, for air to return, for the roots to recover quietly beneath the surface. No constant interference. No overcorrecting. Just a little trust and a little restraint. At first, nothing dramatic happened. A few days passed. Then a week. But then, she noticed something. The yellow leaves stopped spreading. Not all at once, but they weren't getting worse anymore. And then, tiny signs of life began to return. New growth. Small, soft, green again. The kind of green that tells you something is healing. And slowly, very slowly, her garden began to come back. Not because she did more, but because she finally did what was needed. Now tell me, have you ever taken care of a plant, done everything you thought was right, only to watch it struggle anyway? Have you ever felt like, the more effort you gave, the worse things seemed to get? It happens more often than people admit. You're not alone in that. If you've experienced something like this, I'd really like to hear your story. What happened? And what did you learn from it? Share it below. Someone else might need to hear exactly what you've discovered. Margaret learned something that day. Not from a book. Not from a guide, but from a quiet moment, a simple conversation, and a garden that had been trying to tell her the truth all along. That sometimes, too much of a good thing doesn't feel like harm at first. It feels like care. It feels like effort. It feels like doing the right thing, but given without pause, without understanding, it can slowly become the very thing that causes damage. She realized it wasn't neglect that nearly cost her garden. It was overdoing, overhelping, overgiving. And that's not always easy to accept. Because when you care about something, whether it's a plant, a routine, or even people in your life, your instinct is to give more time, more attention, more effort. But Margaret began to see something deeper. That growth, real, lasting growth, doesn't always come from doing more. Sometimes, it comes from stepping back, from creating space, from allowing things to breathe, to stretch, to find their own strength again. And maybe, that lesson wasn't just for her garden. Maybe it was for everything else she held onto tightly. Everything she thought needed constant fixing, constant attention, when all it really needed was a little trust. Because some things already know how to live. So if this story reminded you of something, a habit, a moment, or even someone in your life, don't keep it to yourself. Share this with them. Because sometimes, the smallest lesson arrives at exactly the right time. And if you believe in simple wisdom, the kind that doesn't rush, the kind that still works, then you're in the right place. Subscribe to Evergreen Seniors, where we don't chase every new method. We remember what has always worked, where care is gentle, growth is steady, and the old ways still grow strong.